And with that, we should be live. Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I'm joined by Darkest Light and Vector Maximus, and we are doing some catching up on Tinto Talks. It has been quite a while, relatively speaking, since we were doing this. The holidays and the new year and all of that has kept us a little away from this, and stuff has happened. And by stuff, I mean there's like three things. There's like three. There's two Tinto talks and a Tinto map. The last one, I guess. Last Tinto map, which is what we're starting with.
Second to last.
So what? There's what?
There's the South Atlantic Islands.
Oh,
So it's not really worth wasting our time. It's a handful of islands.
Happy New Year to you, Matt Fair, as well. Good to see you. Hope everyone is you've got your New Year's resolutions. Make sure you don't get fat. Run on the treadmill. Definitely don't eat anything like this ever. I'm just holding on to there's a chocolate peanut butter cup from a fancy place in West Edmonton Mall. The big mall in my province. Yes. I'm just holding on to it. I'm never gonna actually eat it. It's too good to use. And yes, Eric Shadowblade is speed. What a great name for a speedster like himself. Yes. All right, but shall we get started? Welcome to one Friday of map loving. Today's special. It's our 30th Tinto maps devoted to South America. It's the last regular one. It's not the last, because I guess they're going to be doing little bits and bobs here and there as they do. Yeah, there's the South Atlantic Islands, and we're going to be seeing the other feedbacks. You know, whenever we want to glance at, I guess with them adding 50,000 new provinces to Tibet, because they'll have someone tell them about how for some reason or another the Tibetan plateau should actually be made entirely habitable. Hey, Joff, man.
Wait, it should be though.
Yeah, and you're that person who's going to tell them. On January 10th, the new series Tinto Flavor will be starting, which shows the content they've been working on for Project Caesar. And they promise it's a ton. So you'll have to play the game in due time to discover it all.
Although it's kind of sad that they're not like firing the content designers to get more mechanic designers instead.
You know, it is sad. I would prefer that we had why do we have Tinto Flavor for all the content when we could have Tinto mechanics for all of those mechanics that they should be having, right? In fact, if this little green dude at the top of South America doesn't have his own unique mechanics, then I don't even know what the point is. Hello, exactly. But if they really have that much flavor, they might actually be keeping us busy with these all the way up until the game is actually released, which I was starting to think wasn't going to happen. What do you think is going to be the first tag of Tinto Flavor? It's got to be England, right? England or France? How could it be anyone else? That does make sense.
Also, Byzantium/Ottomans.
No, it's going to be England. I've already locked in my choice. It's England.
It's gonna be actually the Blackfoot.
Hey, so yeah, we're covering a lot of lands today. Lots of lands. It's almost all just uncolonized land though. Lots of space though. Look at this long boy, which is really funny because this first image that we've got of countries, of just countries, is only in the West. Because all the actual settled countries are only in the Andes. Say Portugal. Nah, Portugal's not going to be the first country they would talk about flavor for. It's got to be a big boy. It would not be Byzantium. Sweden would be a good guess. It's gotta be England though. Gotta be England. England, because 100 Years War is happening. So we're gonna talk about that. But as you could see in the glorious thumbnail, um, one of these countries is not like the others, as in one of them is actually important. The rest are not. No one cares about any of these countries except for the one, the only country that you can't actually see the name of because it's so small. But trust me, that's the important one, guys.
Hey, some people care about Chimu.
Who?
Chimu.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I see it. Oh, they have land on the coast, like in two different spots. Huh.
Uh-huh.
Let's delve into some of these more zoomed in maps so I can stop straining my old man eyes. We have Zipa and Zake. Zakua. Zakwa. And Tyrona. I've heard the name Tyrona before. The I forget the name. No, it's not the Mixtec. Muisca? Muisca, maybe? I don't know.
If
The-
you're talking about the EU4 faction, I know the one you're talking about, but I can't remember its name off the top of my head.
The people who live up north of the Inca in some stretch of mountains farther north.
Yeah, in modern day Colombia.
Hmm. But they are here, and they've got double the factions now. Whoa! There's also the person on the coast, which is really funny. I can only wonder what it would be like to play any of these people, especially when you're so far away from the other countries. Because I'm pretty sure that I need some clarification on it eventually, but I'm pretty darn sure that the way it works with colonization is that everyone can explore and colonize over land adjacent to them at the game start, but you can't explore and colonize over the sea unless you have the institution. So theoretically, all of these people can colonize and expand over the lands next to them. So if you play as one of these poor guys in the north corner, you could theoretically expand. You would just probably have a very small population. I don't know how you'd accomplish it. But yeah. I did get it. Yes, Muisca. I knew. I'm so smart. And very knowledgeable. Yes. Curious about the locations of the Muisca lands here. Looks like there's going to be a bunch of impassables around them, though. I figure. Nice.
Classic.
Nice, more zoomed in image, and we can see that Cuzco it's connected to a big old line of people along the Andes that they could conquer without having to actually colonize. But again, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to just do it once you actually have the population for it. Otherwise, so theoretically, it shouldn't be that hard for them to expand westwards as well. But I don't know. We'll have to see. That's the sort of thing that the more of those Tinto talks talking about like people starting situations could be handy for, because maybe they'll do one that shows someone actually colonizing over land next to them. Must enjoy pressing the spacebar if your first game is in the New World. My first game is of course going to be Cuzco. In fact, I'm ready to lock it in right now. As long as they have enough sand. If Cuzco doesn't have much sand, then I might have to reconsider it, though.
See, the problem is, Joffrey, is that my first game is as Cusco, so you gotta pick something else. Oh, sure.
What?
Yeah.
We could co-op it.
No.
Bro! He can't do this to me.
I'm doing it to you.
Then I'll play Milan.
No, you won't. 'Cause that's my first game.
Nani? Most of the countries that can be considered being a state-wise level are mostly concentrated in what is today Peru. We have famous ones such as Chimu and Chincha. I don't know what Chincha is either, but I guess it's a bigger one. And you see a tiny country of Cuzco, which later would become the Incan Empire. The long-term goal while playing in the region. Dark, do you like the fact that they say Incan Empire here, and they're
They
not saying
actually
the name?
talk about that, where they currently it is just called Inca, but someone requested that it be named Tawantin Suyu, and they said, "Oh, we might make it where you can choose either or." This, I cannot believe it that they would call it the Inca Empire. That's like calling China the fucking just instead of China, it's called Han.
Well, I mean, there was a point in time where it was that, but
Yes,
yeah.
modern China, call it Han.
Uh, and you know we do. We do have the Aztecs, and well, there's the Spanish Empire, and
Yes, that's the
the
European way of
French.
doing it. That's how the Europeans do it.
But it's so easy if you just name it after the culture.
See, the Europeans are always just like England, land of the English. Come on, man.
What does
Poland, land of the Poles. That's so easy.
what does the Tawantin Suyu mean?
The Four Corners. Wait, double check.
If that's actually what that means, that's pretty cool.
Land of Four Parts.
I wonder what the four parts are then.
North, south, east, west.
I guess. Anyway, moving along then. Yeah, dynasties. Don't care. Don't care. Ah! Here we have a full scope of the continent. And we have the Mapuche at the bottom. Yo! And we have.
Don't show those to Eden.
I knew you were gonna make some comment about Eden. I knew it. There's a couple Brazilians. Whoa. Well, I'll have to ask Eden what the the Charan, I don't know, people.
That's not in Argentina though.
If you ask him, it is.
Yeah, well, he also says that the Falklands are Argentinian, so
Yes, that's it. That's government mandated. He has to. I like how you could just barely see. It's like you're getting far enough zoomed out exactly where the name of this Society of Pops is starting to fade out, but like it's just barely not faded yet. That's funny. I like. I think first country when Societies of Pops are playable. I got to play these people in the Delta here. Obviously, they probably will have a great game. Based on the experience of how the Brazilian
They're gonna
tribes,
get colonized.
the Brazilian tribes in EU4 are a great place to play, and they have lots of content and are definitely considered by the game devs. Kingdom of the Amazon, yeah, yeah, exactly. You just it's so much land. You go along the river, take it all. Oh gosh, you can't go all along the coast. You can't walk along the whole north coast of South America. This is tragic.
It's hard, man.
Oh,
All right.
no. I didn't know that. I didn't know. Also, hello Sam, and hello Armas. So, thank you for telling me about how the Blackfoot don't have walls, and that in Finland, uh, you wait. In Finland, we don't know what our name is for Finland. You don't know what Finland. So the Finns don't know what Finland means, but it's
No, they
the
don't know
land
what
of the like.
Suomi means.
Finland.
Like
Oh.
Finland is like an English name for it, and it's pretty obvious what Finland means.
Yeah,
Land of the Finns.
but
Suomi though is their own name, is what he's saying.
and they don't know what that means. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Actually, just the name.
Oh, now the definition is just the country.
Oh, we can get some more zoomed in images here. Oh, geez, there's a lot of them in the north, actually. Okay, well, at least there's people for you to do diplomacy with if you're one of the settled countries in the area. I guess diplomacy, such as it is. Can you subjugate these people? Because I really wonder what the best way to interact with all of these societies of pops is. You know, like do you? Because colonizing them, it would be such a pain because they stay loyal to the country that they're a part of unless you assimilate them or attack the country. You can vassalize them. I suppose, yeah, if you it might be an effective strategy to vassalize them, and maybe wouldn't it be cool if there was a way where a settled country that has vassalized a society of pops could do something to encourage them to settle, so that you could vassalize these tribal people and then try to get them to settle, and then you can integrate them properly into your country. That would be pretty neat. I'd like to do some of that as the Muisca, because obviously Dark's playing Cuzco, so I need to play the superior country right next to them. The Muisca are so strong, super strong.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Have fun never doing anything until
It's
I
gonna be
eventually kill you.
so fun though. Whoa. They said you can have diplomacy like them with any other country. Yeah, that's true. They did say that. Just don't remember for sure if they specified anything about how vassalizing them would work. Though I'm rather curious. It's what the Romans did for the Gauls and Bretons. It's true. It's true. Yeah. It's also arguably what a lot of colonizers did do in the New World. So, could be fun if that is how that works. There's a lot of small little blobs of cultures in here as well for the societies of pops. But nothing too much to comment on the rest of these. They just kind of they exist. The Charrua. The Charrua people are the one down here. Okay. And locations aren't going to be that much. Yeah. I kind of wanted to. Were the ones I wanted to look at a little bit? And around the Muisca lands. Oh gosh, some of those Muisca locations are really small up in the mountains. Those are tiny. Jeez.
And we're probably going to get even more once they do a pass through.
That's true. They're going to be like, well, do you see, there's this town, and you haven't represented this town that shows up in the modern day, so you should add this.
I mean, he's right.
It's true. Add them all. Honestly, I'm offended to see any location as large as Apure. This is too big. This needs to be cut into 5 pieces.
Until every house lot is a province, we have not divided enough.
And Vector, of course, we need the whole Amazon. We need pathways all through the Amazon.
I'm gonna actually disagree on that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't want that either.
See, I think we need to represent all the modern day uncontacted tribes as societies of pops.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
To represent every province of the Amazon that we could potentially chop down. We need to represent all of the Amazon that we will potentially end up chopping down in order to make toilet paper.
You can't burn down
into provinces. No more of this impassable bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Matt Fur's onto something. What, like the Amazon being impassable? I don't know. Just burn it down. What's so crazy about that? I played the first Legend of Zelda game. I know there's when there's trees, you just burn them down. A secret tunnel right there. Secret tunnel right through the heart of the Amazon. Just go to Cuzco. A little speedy trip. Just blow on a candle real quick. All right. Let's speed on through these a bit. Oh, there we go. That's what's important. The Falklands. Falkland locations.
Just give it English culture.
It's not showing the locations.
You don't see it on this map. You don't see it anymore.
Yeah,
God
it's
damn it.
in the South Atlantic Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Vector was saying that we shouldn't talk about that one. Not worth our time.
It's the Falklands and like 5 tiny minuscule islands.
This is crucial. They did Argentinians dirty. What do you mean? What do they do dirty about Argentina?
No, he's talking about how they're called the Falklands by default and not
Oh,
Las Malvinas or whatever the
that's
Argentinians call it.
that's true. Yeah. I was about to be like, look at all this this location density. There's good location density in the heartlands of Argentina that aren't the steppe of the south. Right. Then yeah, obviously you can't go to you obviously can't sail to Antarctica. So,
Which is sad.
aw, Darky Warky wants to discover Antarctica.
I want to have an empire of penguins.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We'll make it possible. We'll make it possible. So for day one mod adds just all of Antarctica to the map. The ice wall, you're right. The flat earthers were right. They were flat truthers. Oh my goodness. Is there any... no, this is what I'm very curious about. Is there any farmland at all? Nope. There is not a single farmland to be seen down here. Gosh, if you can't turn grasslands into farmland somehow, I don't know, man. It's just, it feels weird that you just, some places like, oh, I don't know, France, they've developed the farming a lot, I guess, so it's just better. Oh, you can't make any other places into the more cultivated grasslands. Oh.
Well, my gut response would be there are places that just have naturally more fertile soil before, modern fertilizer and stuff like that. So that would be kind of my rule of thumb for grassland versus farmland, sort of. But I don't think that's how they implemented it, per se. So
that's not the wrong. That's not the wrong map, Matt. The farmlands are shown on vegetation. You're thinking about topography because like you can have plateau farmlands, for example. Just kidding. No, you don't get to say just kidding. You were wrong. No farmland, the region with literal magic soil that's super fertile that we still have no idea how they made it. Wait, what? The Inca? Are you talking about like Incan farming practices up in the mountains? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Were there terrace farms like made like did they have just really good soil and fertilizer and stuff? 'Cause I don't know. I don't know enough about the Inca. Dark, you're supposed to know this sort of thing, right?
They sort of had alternative ways to do it. They had giant terrace farms, essentially. That's how the Inca made their food.
Yeah, but was anything special about their soil, do you know?
So, mountain soil is typically very nutrient rich. However, it is very thick and hard for water to run through. So,
Oh,
it's sometimes hard for them to properly drink. So, if you find ways around it, and also if you find ways around the horrific climate, yeah.
and I guess they were just built different. They figured it out. Right, there's a huge geographical, huge geographical variations in South America, of course. It's funny that there's a ton of wetland jungle along the Amazon inhabitable area because it's along the rivers. I do like this long string of wetlands down to the mouth of Argentina's river. The mountains do look pretty neat, I must say as well. Looking at all the getting a look here at all the the different like pathways through the mountains and the plateaus you'll find here and there scattered around. That's all really neat to look at. I am definitely looking forward to trying it out for myself. Must see. All right. Yeah. No one's surprised. Chile's a desert. It's funny how instead of Argentina, in Argentina, the natives developed in the Andes. It's weird that yeah, it's the Mesopotamia of America, as you put it, in the Andes of all places, instead of the the Argentina where you've got the rivers and it's really fertile and it's like nope, people instead developed in the fucking mountaintops for some reason. It's really cool. I have no idea how that happened, but they do actually have some development in some places here. Though Cuzco doesn't have a lot. No. I wonder if Cuzco's actually going to be strong, or whether they have yet to reach the point where they are going to be capable of beating up their neighbors. Natural harbors. Damn. Some of those lands, there's some disconnected lands in yeah, the northeast corner of South America that you can't even build good harbors in. Sheesh.
Imagine having bad harbors. Would not be me.
There's also some pretty trashy harbors in the north of Colombia, but all in all, there's a good amount of just okay harbors on the north. Now the south and west, or well, the west coast in general, jeez, the Incas have no boat potential.
They have. Look, they have like at Ecuador.
Oh, whoa, right there.
They have one in Ecuador.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not Ecuador.
Well, the Incas don't have Ecuador.
Yeah, they do. They take it.
No.
It was part of the Incan Empire at that point.
What?
Well, not at this point, but eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
The Inca are fucking huge, man.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how
I'll show you.
huge is huge. Will there be mana?
That also
in
shows
Project
the
Caesar?
4 parts of the Inca Empire.
Ah, we've got someone who's joined the stream that has not been keeping up with the Tinto information. No, there is not mana in Project Caesar. Hot Pocket Pie Lord.
Of course, we all wish there was, but
Oh yes, we all love mana. We all love spending bird points. Yes, love my bird. I'm kidding. Not sure if they've stated whether there will be wizardry sorcery users in the game. What? You named your spell. What the heck are you talking about? Oh, the joke is that the man. Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know how I misunderstood the joke there. Yeah, there's. I'm sorry, Hot Pocket. There is no spell casting in Project Caesar. You cannot, in fact, press a button that says convert culture. You cannot cast the convert culture spell for 200 bird mana. Yeah, you can't.
Yet. It'll come with the DLC.
Lennon can't read SMH. No. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I didn't read it well, and I'm not sorry for it. I fixed my mistake. 0 out of 10 trash garbage fire. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. It just... You know, you see, obviously, the Joff Man is sponsored by EU5, the unannounced game, and that is why I am only speaking positively about it. Because I don't like what I'm reading. I actually am being paid to say positive things. So, yeah, sorry. Culture.
You were about to say you were being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, I'm actually being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. See, and I will see you on the battlefield, or whatever they always end those ads with.
The stupid rote script they've all freaking got.
Yeah. I love how they all adopt the same cadence too. So they're speaking. Hmm. What is it? Oh, the Mapuche are a lot more confined than I thought they would be. The Mapuche Society of Pops actually controls a bunch of land that isn't Mapuche culture.
The Mapuche control the world.
Because you got down here, or do they? Maybe I misunderstood. Yeah, I misunderstood. They don't actually control. They just control the lands of their culture. Never mind. Never mind. Gonna look at today's post with all the trade goods, or will that have to be another time? Oh, we will. We will. We're just starting with the map and going through it more slowly than I otherwise would for such a catch-up stream because this is the last major. This is in fact the last major Tinto map, and probably the last one that we're gonna seriously cover. So yes, we will be catching up on the stuff we've missed. But goodness gracious me, it's going to take so much time to culturally assimilate all these people to the glorious. Is it actually Muisca? Oh god, there's like 5 different Muisca cultures at least. Oh, no one's safe. This was what L nationalism does to you. These people really need to invent some nationalism right now. There's too many cultural distinctions here. Gotta fix this right now. Chop chop. Where is my Inca culture? Imagine if you like you press the Inca Empire. Everyone's favorite empire, the Inca Empire. No one dislikes that name at all. And you will form the Inca Empire. And then by doing so, it will change your primary culture to be Inca culture.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
there are more zoomed in ones.
Ah, there are indeed. What?
What?
That was a loud yelp. But what? Dark, you scared me when you said there are more zoomed in ones, and now that I've zoomed in more, I do in fact see that there is Inca culture on the map. What the hell?
Yeah. And it will expand.
It must. It simply
They
must.
very much. They very much ate people. Not literally, but culturally.
No, they didn't eat people. They threw them in the pit. I forget what they had in the pit, but they threw them in pits for some reason. I don't remember.
At least they didn't do the mass sacrifice that the Aztecs did. They did some like ritual, like one male to one female per year sacrifice.
Oh, that's
They
right.
didn't do the
Yeah.
sacrifice 300 people in one day or else the sun won't rise.
And then if the son, if you can't sacrifice that many people, you've got to sacrifice the king. Because conveniently, if you fuck up, as you can always sacrifice the king, and it will solve the problem, so that they will never have their beliefs confirmed or denied. Very convenient system indeed. Choco. So these are languages, and Quechuan. So Quechuan is the big language down there, which is handy because that means you can tolerate a bunch of the cultures that you'll be conquering before you assimilate them. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's the two things you can do. You can tolerate a culture or you can accept them. And if you tolerate them, they'll still assimilate, but the penalties they give will be less severe. And I assume you can use them in your armies at least to a degree, maybe. But having them be integrated is where they are just a full part of your country and no penalties will be acquired. You will actually core the lands that they control, but you will not assimilate them at all, which is a neat distinction. I enjoy that quite a bit because if I am doing a game where I'm trying to assimilate a ton of people, I appreciate the fact that I'm going to have the option to reduce the penalties I'm getting from the conquered people, even if I still want to assimilate them. Because like France, for example, we know with the cultures. Well, okay, no, I won't give France as an example. Give this as an example. The all these Andean cultures here are probably going to be very, very easy to tolerate and accept. They will be very cheap on your cultural capacity because they're gonna share the fact that they are Andean cultures and they also have the same language. So the same culture and language, same like cultural heritage group and same language even means that most of these people would be very easy for you to tolerate. So you can tolerate a ton of them and still assimilate them uh, or accept them fully. Because we know that the closer a culture is to you, the more things that a culture has with you in common, the less cultural capacity it costs you to uh, have greater levels of acceptance with them, which is unsurprising. I appreciate that system very much. Hmm. All right. Religions. This is something that I have been very curious about. They have in fact grouped a ton of these. Yeah, they originally had just a ton. It was like one language for every culture, but as we can see here, they've now consolidated them into a. Honestly, I really like this. I really like this. It's kind of disgusting to look at, but it's an ordered chaos, and it's very interesting to consider. But more importantly, I want to see the. Wait, do we not get a more zoomed in view of the Andean ones? Well, that's a shame. Well, this is good enough, I suppose. The Inti. So Inti is quite expansive, actually, at this point. I thought Inti was going to be a little more restrained than this. Uh, but nope, it's big. Uh, the one of the bigger countries in the region, I think it's only one of them, or maybe both of them. Naylamp. I think okay, it is actually. I think it is actually both of the major countries that are like more along the coast actually have religions other than Inti. So that's interesting though. So you have a bunch of different options for people who want to unite the region as. They'll give you different religions, though I am sure that they functionally are very similar. I've got no illusions to the contrary. And now let us talk about raw goods. Oh goodness, are those all medicaments in? I think they are. Tons of medicaments everywhere. And tree. Medicaments and tree. Do you get fiber crops and wild game?
All the gold.
There's a little bit of
All
dye
the
in
gold.
the Amazon. No, gold? I don't see any gold.
There's also
None.
all the gold.
Corn! Golden corn! Corn! I love corn. I actually really like corn. I grow a lot of corn in my province. Tasty stuff. You have to eat it on the cob, though, with salt. Salt,
Gold.
corn, cob, yum. Corn, gold. Silver? Silver. Yo, the Muisca just have silver, though. See, there's gold everywhere. Oh, wait, they have gems, too, though, actually. I wonder if the Muisca have to use... Because they've got copper. Oh, they've got iron, too, actually. Well, never mind. They won't need... I was wondering, it's like, oh, did they also need to use the obsidian thing that we heard about, where the Aztecs can use like gems to make weapons? But they've actually got iron, so actually quite a bit of iron too. So they wouldn't need to. There's actually a lot of iron in Colombia. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 in Colombia. That's pretty nice. Incas use bronze. I have heard as much, so I'm curious as we venture down towards the Inca if they have suitable amounts of copper and tin. Don't care all that much about the eastern coast by comparison. There's still gold here, mind you, but it's lots of wild game. Most of this stuff is gonna be getting replaced once colonizers show up, I imagine, because we know that they do change. So, corn, 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 lead. There's actually a couple lead. Interesting distinction. There's iron here, but I'm curious if they'll use it. There's lots of copper. I am seeing quite a bit of copper, and it looks like they've changed the color of copper slightly. But is there tin? We see any tin? I don't see much tin. I'm starting to think that they're probably not going to actually represent them using bronze. Potatoes! There we go. There's the potatoes. Delicious. But, oh, there's some tin down here. But, I don't know.
You know what they do have though? Gold
Gold.
and silver.
They must make gold weapons because they have so much more gold than they have actually useful metals. That well, I guess they just got to make gold weapons.
Actually useful metals? You're saying gold and silver aren't useful metal?
This is correct.
Alright, chat. Make fun of him for being bald.
Wait, what? No, you can't do that.
Yes.
Aren't I reading the description of the maps? What? I don't know. The Inti the Inti religion has its own different mechanics, which we'll explain in the future. So it's only the Inti that has mechanics. The others don't. Well, it's a bit of a shame, but we'll see. The gold sword in Minecraft has decent damage output, just lacks the durability. You're right. That's all they need. They've got so much gold, they can make all the butter tools they could ask for. It just means they'll break fast, but it's okay. They can replace them. But yeah, I mean, Matt, there's only so much to yeah. At the very bottom of the raw materials map is where it actually writes, and it says there's not a whole lot to be said here other than there's some materials are more common here than others, like medicaments. That they're not actually mentioning the potatoes, which is odd. You'd think that they would mention the fact that potatoes exist here and nowhere else. A buttery snack. Just eat your gold weapons, yeah. Oh, look at this this disgusting Muisca trade node. Oh, goodness.
I know. Have fun with that garbage.
This trash. Disgusting. Like, look, the gimp dudes to their north on the coast have a better one. Because for some reason their trade node goes all along the coast of Central America. I don't like
That's
water.
The power of water.
Water is overrated.
Alright, stop drinking it. Or anything that includes water in it. Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me
is that
what
about
to do.
Water?
You can't tell me what to do. I'm not drinking it because I want to. I just to spite you. No. Population. Oh, they're not actually. Why aren't they showing us the population in images? Oh, okay. There's some issues with the map population. Oh, well. So there's 10 million people in South America. 1.5 in Colombia, 1.2 in Brazil, and 5 million in the Andes. That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice, yeah. I have no idea what Chaco is, but there's almost a mil there. And there's 1.5 mil in La Plata, so. Yeah, the Andes is where, shockingly enough, yeah. Just, the Andes have huge populations. They actually settled countries with farming and shit. Yeah. Respectfully disagree. No. Check mark.
The Brazilians.
Yeah. All 29 of them are Brazilians who don't like that the really dense jungle can't be inhabited. RIP. Alright. Shockingly, I don't think I see the need to look through the comments on this. I don't. big surprise. Because we have a lot of things to cover. So, with that, we are going to move on to Norway, because today, just celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Yes. And here's the special gift from Johan. He gave us a Christmas gift. Christmas gift, and it is him showing us opening moves as Norway. Talking a little bit about how you start playing in Project Caesar, starting as Norway. Delightful Christmas gift. So King Magnus, yes, you are playing as this country. They have just under 500,000 people, with only 6 towns or cities. So they specify, they lump in towns and cities, the actual population centers together. Interesting that they do that. I like that. Tax base 86. That's very interesting that they, because in EU4 you've got you just look at the country screen and it's like, all right, here's your dev. It just says number. Here's your dev. Here you've got your dev, the equivalent of that, split between population and tax base. And I'm curious how it calculates your tax base. There's a lot of things like that I'm very curious about. Because tax base is not tax actual. It's not like actually the taxes that you're collecting. It's more just like a metric of how much value there is that could be taxed in your country somehow. I imagine, at least. But today, let's get started. We start in a union with Sweden, as we have the same king, who's only 20 years old at the start of the game. He's married, though, to Blanche of Namur, who in history gave birth to Haakon, who became the king of Norway. The current heir is Euphemia, the king's younger sister, who is married to Albrecht of Mecklenburg. So, if the king was to die, if King Magnus of Norway and Sweden was to die, then that would mean that his sister inheriting the kingdoms would mean that you'd get the Mecklenburg dynasty on the throne. That's funny. Apparently Norway has 8 income per month, counting expenses. Don't know enough yet about how much certain things cost, but we'll see how much they discuss here as I move along then. Norway is a rather big country. Well, it's a rather big country, but how much of the land is useful? Rather big country, but most is sparsely populated and not much developed. There are a few main concentrations of population around the Oslo Fjord in the south, around Trøndelag in the north, and on the western coast around Bergen and Stavanger. Towns and cities. Said the Canadian. Hold on now. Let's not be throwing any punches like that. I know, just because for Christmas I was visiting my relatives in an uninhabited location on the map. That's very useful land. Very, I promise. Big farm. Big farm.
You were literally in impassable terrain, Joffrey.
I was.
I don't even know how you got there.
But there was big farm, I promise. Big farm. Not everywhere, though. Some of it is just tree and bog. So, yeah. So, 6 towns, 2. So these are all of these saying 2 presumably means that they are towns. Maybe a 3 would mean it's a city? I guess, I don't imagine that any of these are actual cities. Oh yeah, there we go. There are 6 towns in Norway, and these populations include the entire countryside of the location, including all peasants. Oslo has about 900 burghers at the start of the game. This creates a bit of a challenge, as we do not have either a concentrated population nor a big population. These population numbers are of course going to change dramatically in a few decades, as the Black Death is not exactly avoidable. There are a few other challenges to consider as well. We do not have our own market, and trade through the Lubeck markets instead. So I think what Johann's telling us is that Norway is just terrible, and you should never play them.
So we have a small population, and it's gonna get even smaller because of the Black Death.
It's a small population. It's decentralized over a lot of land that's not developed, and also it's about to get cut in half. Well, watch me cut this country in half.
This post was fact checked by real Swedish patriots. True.
How's the development in the northwestern territories? Yeah, okay. At least you can play in
Yeah,
Norway.
at least you can
This
play
guy,
in
shut
Norway.
the fuck up, Matt. Shut the fuck up.
Norway? You mean Western Sweden?
Yeah, it's just Western Sweden.
I'm gonna tell Nikki said that.
It's just Western Sweden. It's nothing. No. Hey, I'm fine because my ancestry lies in North Germany and in, well, primarily in Ukraine though, and Kiev is not doing so well. But Kiev has farmland, so that's nice. All right, Matt, we gotta move on for now. This has some benefits and challenges. First of all, it's a market that has a lot of Hanseatic merchants and access to the goods will be plentiful. The heartland around our capital in the south also has great market access. That's true. Yeah. However, the rest of the country is not as lucky. Yeah. Things are starting to get pretty gray up in the north. But most of the country's land is connected to the sea by fjords and stuff, so, if you develop those ports, you could get it to have pretty good control and market access with time, I'm sure. I think Norway's got potential, but it's pretty rough, though. Honestly, the fact that Norway's got the Icelandic and Greenland colonies, you've got potential for colonizing too. Though, realistically, in time, if you do colonize, your homeland is going to be like the least useful land you own, except Greenland, I guess. That doesn't. So, what shall we do at the start? First of all, as Norway has a small population, I can't rely on large-scale raw material production, but should perhaps aim for a more capital economy. Okay. So one way to achieve that is through granting a privilege to the burghers that will make them more powerful, but you think it's worth it. So 33% more power, but they have 5% more happiness, and increases their production efficiency and gives them progress towards capital economy. I haven't seen that one before. I don't think we've seen capital economy as a societal value. We pride ourselves as a nation that takes great care of its merchants, assuring their swift transportation, legal representation, and freedom to move their goods as they see fit. So it's not centralized. We're not talking about centralized capital, like focused, centralized because that's I guess centralized versus decentralized. Shut down Steam real quick. I'm curious what the bonuses of capital economy are, because the production efficiency is probably nice. 5% production efficiency, that's good, I'm sure. But I'm curious what the actual bonuses from having capital economy build up is. Maybe he'll explain. Another way is to check the alerts, and we see that our population has some needs that are not fulfilled. Well, we may not care all that much if about the pops in Orkney. If the pops in Orkney get what they need from the Dublin market, we can at least look into addressing the needs in Lubeck. Good. All right, so pops with needs. They lack wine, beer, and silver. Okay. Then what could they do to get access to wine, beer, and silver? I highly doubt that there is just because there's no wine resources there, and there's no silver up in the north, I'm sure. I don't think there is. Um, so I wonder what you could do to fix that. I'm sure that beer is something you can just make a building that will produce to produce more beer, though, and that would be useful to the market. The lack of wine, beer, and silver. The amount of wine needed is nothing I care about now. So it's a okay. It's not much wine that's demanded, and it's demanded by presumably the higher class, the nobles. So it's not as many people necessarily, but it's clear that we could benefit from addressing the other needs. So first of all, we have a silver mine. They do have a silver mine in Kongsberg, which we can expand. So the RGO level is 1 of 6, so you can, this is how many times you've upgraded the building, I imagine. Current employment, current output. Lubeck market sold for a total of 6. Market access, market price, supply and demand. Jeez! They really have put a lot of effort into this system. So if you want to really, I can see now, it's starting to make sense to me how come they've said that if you really want to hyper focus on it, you can put a ton of effort into micromanaging your resources and your production systems and all of that. But at the end of the day, you don't need to worry about it all that much because you can look at things like, oh, the supply and demand and the market price and all that. But at the end of the day, you don't need to worry about it a ton. It's just like, oh, you need silver and gold are valuable stuff. I need more wood because I need to make boats. So make wood. Looks more engaging than Victoria 3. It looks more interesting. I like because it's understandable and I think like I keep telling people, Matt, that I really think I am never going to like open Vic 3. I'm basically just never gonna play Vic 3 once EU5 comes out because everything everything that I want to like from Vic 3 is just gonna be in EU5.
Oh
You
yeah,
say
I know one thing that Vic has that EU5 doesn't, and that is a fantastic war system.
this is true. The war system in Vicky 3 is peerless. EU5's is terrible from what we've seen compared to it. Everyone should just play that instead, obviously.
People just want to watch the little toy soldiers walk on the map, but no. Vic 3 is more refined and elegant. It is the superior gaming experience.
Of course, yes. But requirements for construction, yeah, you need wood. But this is the sort of thing I'm talking about where it's like yeah, this is so Matt, you're saying it's more engaging. You feel it's more engaging than Victoria. I think it's simple to understand and effective. Where it's like, well, what do you need to build stuff? I don't know. You need lumber. You need lumber to build stuff. You need stone to build stuff. So it's like, well, just make more of that. Just make more of that. That's all you need to worry about. You need more of those. Employ people. Get more population. Lots of the things that you've got in EU5, and part of the reason that I'm so incredibly excited for it is that the focus of the game seems to be around, okay, what are the things I need to worry about right now? You get asked the question, you have to ask yourself the question, what are the things I need to worry about right now? You then think about, okay, I need to worry about all of these different things. So, all right, I need to make more money. Okay. Well, there's a lack of silver in this market. People want it, and silver is already a valuable resource for minting coins anyway, so I'll make more silver mines. And then you have the question, well, okay, now I'm making silver mines. I guess I need more lumber as well, so I'll make some more lumber camps. But then you have all of this is having the opportunity cost of, well, if I'm doing this, then I'm not getting iron because I'm putting this population to work in mining the silver. And so I'm not able to have them mining iron, and I've got a limited population, but I need that iron for weapons so I can actually declare war. Do I focus on conquering, or do I focus on just building up my country? All these sorts of things that you actually have to think about, and shocking, I know, In a Paradox game, you might just sit there and build stuff instead of conquering. This is insane. Never mind. I'm just crazy talk. We currently have a level 1 mine here, and due to the development of the area, we can get it up to a level 6 mine, employing 6,000 peasants in total. There is a demand far higher than supply in the market, but fully upgraded, we should be able to supply it fully. It will be an important part of our economy, and we already are able to collect 5% of our taxes only from this location. So even with it just being a single level of silver mine, it's 5% of the country's tax. So yeah, getting that up to level 6 and supplying the market, yeah. And then obviously your next objective would be getting the market access up, so building more effective roads or ports, depending on the location. Vicky 3 does that too, and it's not like you need a degree to play that game. It's just that instead of wood, you need construction sectors, which a majority of the tags can afford. See, Victoria 3 has a lot of abstraction that I feel is very oddly done and is kind of clunky. The construction sectors are like, I understand a lot of like what they're doing, but it never feels good. It always feels like when I'm playing Vic 3, I'm doing the exact same thing every time, and the whole building construction sectors thing as well. You can't. Most people can't even afford them. Most countries can't really play the game in Vicky, except for just you use your base level construction, and it's just really strange how that's implemented. Where it's like, well, every country has this base level of construction, and then you meet the construction sectors, and then I don't know. If you don't play as a major country, you can't really build. Therefore, play. Yeah. Now, I say all that. Don't know how that works here. For all we know, maybe if you're playing as Lubeck in this game, you will have the same issues. After all, Lubeck only is an OPM, so they won't have a ton of RGOs. Well, but then again, even as I'm saying that to myself, we know for a fact that Lubeck, the country, is going to be in the Hanseatic League, and they're the capital of the Lubeck trade node, so they'll have access to all the resources they could possibly want, and they'll have a really high population that has lots of burgers, so they can choose all sorts of different buildings they could want to make, and yeah, that just sounds so much more interesting to me. But, you know, different strokes for different blokes. I start expanding the mines with level 1 for now, and look into doing more diversification for my economy. The beer demand will be easy to solve itself over the next few months, as either the burgers will import more, or the Hansa or someone else will import to fulfill the demands, or some AI miner will build more breweries. Why don't you build more breweries, huh? I guess, well, the reason he doesn't want to build the breweries is that he knows that other people will solve the issue really quick. But he has access to silver, which is more valuable, so he's going to focus on that. That makes sense. EU5 will actually make mercantile city-states actually playable as opposed to Vic 3. Yes, I mean, you'll even be able to just play as the Hansa, which is insane. You can just play as the Hanseatic League, the country, the mercantile entity, the Hanseatic League. You can play as a bank. Though I am absolutely stoked to play as a Holy Order. I cannot wait to try playing a Holy Order sometime. There's going to be so many different challenge runs and different things I want to explore. It's part of why I keep historically accurate Venice. Venice and Genoa are going to be such a treat to play, I'm sure. You're going to be able to Carthage max. I cannot wait to play Genoa and just have my outposts all over the Mediterranean Sea. You got to grab Tunis, got to rebuild Carthage, grab Valencia, grab Gibraltar, and then just start doing the exact same thing all across the map. Just turn the whole map into your little pockmarked city outposts in good harbors. That sounds like a fantastic game. You can't do that in any other game they've made. There's no other game they've made where that's like a thing you can do. You can't do that in Vic. I mean, in Vic, you grab the little, like, city, but it's useless. in Vic, like you have a single location that you grab, and it's like, well, that's just like a single tiny little thing that you can build like 2 coal mines in. It's like, well, that's pointless. The only reason you do that is for like the market access to someone. But here, you could grab a good harbor, and then that good harbor that you grabbed could then eventually turn into a a mercantile hub for the region and get a huge population, and you could urbanize it sky high, which sounds fantastic to me. But this is the only game where you could do something like that. Like, I'm just not gonna have any reason to play Vic. You're looking forward to MPs with people playing non-country tags. We'll see if MP works properly, but you bet your ass if multiplayer works properly in this game, I'm gonna be hosting MP games constantly. Because that's what I wanted to do with CK3, and then CK3 just didn't. Is not stable, man. It's just not. These EU5 diaries are just proving that taking the Vic 3 project away from Johan was a mistake. just let Johan run the whole thing, man. Just let him run the show. He's learned. Johan is a very I think I'm starting to rant now, but like Johan is very respectable. I consider him a very respectable individual as far as game developers go, because he is someone who is a very opinionated person, but he learns lessons when he puts he put his heart and soul into making Imperator, and it flunked, and yet he took the feedback everyone was giving him and then changed the game to make it better. And he's taken those lessons he learned from that, and he is just no sweat off his brow, and then immediately just took it over to EU5 and is now asking for even more feedback on it, which is what we're talking about now. How awesome is that, man? Get ready for Polish and Mexico rounds where you force me to read the names. Moving on. Hey, whoa, look at this. He's building wharfs. Huh, isn't that interesting? I can finally play Tall Venice after 10 plus years of Paradox games. He spent 2 days working nonstop to overhaul Imperator after the feedback launch and practically fixed the entire game. Was it 2 days? You mean two? Like he spent it was like a year-long thing, but he was working night and day on that. That was crazy. That was his baby. Right. But getting back on track, he wants to get a higher trade capacity. Obviously, he needs higher trade capacity because he's going to be making all this silver. He needs to export to the market to actually make money. So build some wharfs, I guess. So you could build a market or fishing village in the countryside, but for now I think a wharf in every coastal town would be the best benefit, as they impact the proximity calculations and give some sailors as well. Proximity. Market price impact from Lubeck development. Cost. Traditional economy societal value makes the cost of buildings go up? Or maybe it's only the specific type of building. Money from masonry, glass, and lumber. So the percentage cost of... So the... I guess this is because of the value, like the cost of these resources in the market is lower. So there's a lot of masonry and lumber in the Lubeck market. Presumably 20% is the max that this value can get to. So the idea is if you have a glut of masonry and lumber, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because the stereotype in the stereotype is that you want stuff to be expensive in Vic, so that you like people make money off of it. But in this game, having a lot of a resource is not a bad thing necessarily, because the value you get from it is that it's less expensive for you, the government, to build stuff, I guess. But you get this traditional economy that makes it more expensive. If you got rid of that, you could probably make stuff for insanely cheap. But yet cost for small rural building, I guess they're Are they the same? I'm confused about this though. Wharfs are not the most expensive to build for us, especially with access to lumber and masonry in the market. If you didn't have a bunch of masonry and lumber, this would be a lot more expensive for sure. Because it would be even above the base cost. It would be like more, you'd get more closer to 60 gold. But even then, that's not crazy, I'm sure, based on my understanding of EU4's gold. There are other things that to consider at the start of the game as well. Assigning the cabinet to their duties is one. As we start with 70 legitimacy, I assign a noble to increase the legitimacy of the king. So does that mean but assigning a noble effective skills of strengthening government? Oh, so this is an action. Okay. So he's assigning his minister to a action that is called strengthen the government, which gives you ticking legitimacy. This is something I was very curious about because this is a good one that is going to take my attention away from cultural assimilation because I've mentioned before that when I look at EU5, it was hard for me to imagine looking at the different cabinet actions myself taking actions. Like I basically was thinking I'll just always have my guys on cultural assimilation because I want to get more troops and I want to core more land because cultural assimilation is basically what you have to do to core stuff. So I was thinking I'm thinking just I'll constantly be assimilating stuff, but to get your legitimacy up, you'll need to actually use your ministers like this. 33 from the king, royal marriage rights, and then the actual so the skill of your king, then or your ruler, the military skill of your ruler, and the military skill of the minister in question are both taken into account when taking this. Total increase of 50% in the following 3 points. 0.37. Probably only Norwegians or some very knowledgeable people about Scandinavian and medieval history will find it absolutely hilarious for this guy to do this. Okay, well, secret lore of what King Magnus did in history, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he was a very illegitimate king in Norway, I guess. They didn't like him in Norway, maybe. I don't know. The goal now is to slowly build an economy based around my towns and survive the Black Death as best as possible. The goal during the next few decades would be to build up a simple gravel road from Oslo to Oslo past Hamar over Tinset to Nidaros, because Nidaros is one of those towns. I suppose? I guess, so this is something I'm kind of curious about. Because he is both building roads from Oslo to Nidaros, but he's also talking about building wharfs all along the coast, because building wharfs all along the coast increases or decreases the access distance. Whatever you call it, like the effective distance between locations. So Oslo's the capital. He needs to get control and market access and such to Nidaros. What's curious to me is I would imagine, I assumed at least, that even building a road over these mountains, it would be less effective to like get your control from Oslo to Nidaros would be less effective that way than by boats. But
Maybe water freezes.
that's true. Maybe the water freezes. I I suppose one thing we don't know is how roads affect terrain. Because maybe if you've built a road through a location that's mountains, maybe the roads like substantially decrease the penalty from it being mountains. But I doubt that. I don't know. But in any case, you do definitely want to get more control to Nidaros because that's one of the bigger towns. Yeah. This is just a quick small overview of the start of the game in one country. Next year, we'll be back with another bonus-style Tinto Talks where we'll look at every trade good. And that is what we're doing next. Because a whole year later. Crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's been a year.
It's been a year since he made this. We really fell behind. It's so crazy. Whoa. Next one.
I feel so bad for the guy like Sealand, I think, that just said wow at the start of every single one.
What happened to poor
Then he
old
got told
Sealand?
off and now he doesn't do it anymore.
He's not even here. Yeah. Rest in peace, Sealand. He was a real one. Also, I'm just ignoring the just Johann Christmas. He is Santa Claus. He has given us the gift. Alright. But now... Oh, that's a pretty neat picture. But now we are discussing trade goods. Oh! We move along to... Yes, to today's one. Came out this very day. Incredible. Today, we are going to be, on this very happy Wednesday, discussing all the trade goods we have in the game. Oh, goodness. Are they really going to talk about every single one? Yes. Yes, the trade goods that are raw materials can be extracted from RGO operations in the locations that have them present, but many of them can also have buildings that will produce their goods at a slightly less efficient or a slightly less capacity when you need access to it. Produced goods can only be produced from various buildings. Yeah, you don't just dig pots out of the ground, I suppose. Some goods have a base production, which is added to each market, scaled by the total development of that market. Really? What would that be? Every market would have just a base of a good based on the total development of it. Huh. I suppose they'll explain. They'll explain some of that, perhaps. Some resources require more trade capacity than others to move a resource between markets. So, like, an elephant, a cannon. They show elephants up at the top. A cannon? Are elephants even a resource? I don't think so.
Yes.
They are? Oh. I wonder what they're used for. Cavalry? I hope not. I guess, maybe. But unless otherwise specified, the transport cost is 1. Yes. Default prices is the price a good would have if the supply and demand are exactly matching. Ooh. The price in each market depends on the supply and demand of the good in the actual market. The price range depends on the age where in the age of traditions, prices currently range from 50% to 200% of the default price, while in the age of revolutions, it goes from as low as 20 to as high as 500%. Wow. I wonder what the logic behind that is. Huh. Why does it change so much? I'm curious about what the gameplay idea behind that is. Because I guess the idea if you don't have access to the resource, it gets just insanely expensive at that point. Later on in the game, 500%. Goods are required by POPs, units, building inputs, constructions, and more. One important aspect is that you actually need the goods. If the demand is higher than the supply, then buildings or POPs in locations further away from the market center will just not get the goods they require. You just will not be able to make stuff if you don't have wood. But yes, so raw materials. Horses. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, we're getting sand. Horses. Default price is 3 and transport cost is 2. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Oh god. Horses. Oh no. Oh no. Horses are used in a variety of tasks. The most important one is waging war. The Middle Ages were the golden age of cavalry, and it was closely linked to the development of feudal societies. Meanwhile, in Wiki 3, you can never have a shortage of a resource. Can you not? What do you mean? In Wiki, if you don't have a resource, can't you just not make stuff? Or is that it just makes the cost higher, but you still just do the thing anyway? I don't remember. It's been ages since I played that game. Clay. Default price is 2.5 and a base production of... Oh, so it actually has a base production. What does it mean that it has that amount of base production? Because that's so depending on the amount of development. So I guess it's like for every 1 unit of development, a market will have 0.02 clay produced. That's a reasonable system to have. Where yeah, depending on how developed a market is, just there are some things it should just naturally have more of. I can agree with that system. So yes, it's used in pottery, ceramics, in prehistoric times. But another main use is construction in combination with other materials, or the creation of bricks. Clay tablets were also among the first writing methods invented, so its impact in the development of civilization is undeniable. You still get small trickle of raw resources because Vicky 3 doesn't have actual tangible resource buildings just to spawn them for gold cost. Oh. I clearly I know a lot less than I thought I did about Vic. Sand, default price is twice as valuable. Its default price is a whole double that of clay. Whoa. But it makes a lot less. There's a lot less of it that's base produced. Sand is one of the most common materials on Earth, and its uses are multiple and varied. Whoa. Very valuable resource, of course. It's one of the most pervasive it's one of the most pervasive abrading materials used to shape any kind of stone or metal due to being coarse and rough and getting everywhere. I added that last bit because it's funny. As a component of many building materials and the main material for the production of glass, among many other uses. Yeah, it's not a especially valuable material in and of itself, but you make a lot of things with it, so you need a lot of it. Same with clay, I guess. And I imagine stone's also very important for similar reasons. Oh, coal's got an interesting... That's an interesting icon for coal. It's actually got some heat in the middle of it, I guess, is what the red is supposed to represent, because you're cooking it. The default price is 1. I see we're ascending in value a bit here, but we started with horses, which would triple the value of stone. Transport cost of 5. Oh, wow. That surprises me. But I guess it shouldn't. It's just funny to think, yeah, stone is harder to transport than horses. I guess because horses move. I didn't think about it like that. The horses can move themselves. I'm just picturing like putting a horse on a boat. It's more expensive than stone, but yeah. And they also have a base production. Horses do not, of course, have a base production because you don't have horses in the New World. Also, coal does not have a base production. Coal has price of 2. Yeah, we are just like going up now exponentially. Going up to iron after coal. But yeah, coal, practical steam engine. But when do you need it at all early game? The use and import coal would become a major business. It's not explaining anything about it being used early game. So iron is 3. Copper actually has the same base price as iron, interestingly enough. Huh. It's basically the exact same, yeah, the exact same price and cost to transport as iron. But iron doesn't just represent iron, but all other ferrous materials and the production of alloys such as steel. Oh, so you don't actually make steel a resource. Iron just also is steel. Iron formed the basis of the metallurgical industry and was used extensively in the production of weaponry and other military equipment, of course. Copper is the main component of bronze, and you do need it a lot for cannons. Here we get to gold and silver. So gold is 10, but the production impacts inflation. And the same with silver, but silver is only 8. Not quite 10, but that's still very valuable, and it also gives you inflation. All games get iron and steel wrong. Yeah, how... I could see it becoming a thing where people bully them into making steel a resource that you make. I would not be surprised, Mouse, if that's something that ends up happening, where people yammer on, like I would. I mean, I'm not a game dev. I don't know. It's something that I'm very seriously, as we speak, considering. You're doing that right now. You are one of the people yammering away. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure what I think myself. I don't know whether I think it's a worthwhile thing for the game to have steel as a separate resource or not, because how many things would you even use iron for other than steel? Would you not just immediately only turn iron into steel? I can't imagine, because steel is just a better iron, and I don't think, like, we're in the point in the Middle Ages we're in. People are just using steel weapons, aren't they? I don't think we're still using iron weapons, right?
They're using steel.
It,
Normal
it
iron doesn't really work.
well, because there
Iron on its
was,
own is brittle.
yes, but they're yeah, yeah. It took time for steel to kick off, but I didn't know when exactly that happened. But yeah, the point Eric yeah, as Eric is saying, is that it's complicated, and part of the fact that it's complicated is why I'm not sure whether it's worthwhile for it to be a separate resource, because if you that's like saying, okay, Mouse, imagine, say, you've got lumber and people were asking for them to make a separate resource that is just planks, as if this is Minecraft. Be like, well, you can't make a. I was like, what? It's like everyone gets wood wrong. They need to make a separate reason. You need to make a lumber. You cut down the logs, but now you need to make a separate building that actually turns them into planks, or some such thing. I already think it's a little unnecessarily tedious that Vicky has a difference between hardwood. It's like, really? Really? Do we need hardwood as a separate resource? Straw man? No, it's a wood man. It's a wood man. It's a very good man. He's made of wood. It's a very sturdy argument, I think, in fact. Yes, I think I have defeated you, Dab. I win. If EU5 doesn't have several different types of lumber, it's a bad game. Where's my exotic wood? Am I right, guys? Am I right? Actually, no, exotic. I had a second where I was just staring into the abyss, like, wait, is exotic wood a thing? I would die. Like, oh, I despise the whole reason, like, EU4's naval supplies and exotic wood. What a dumb thing. Eh, naval supplies, I guess. It's like, just so weird. Is there anyone who likes Vicky 3 even? Yeah, there's plenty of people that like it. There's plenty of people that like it. You'll be hard pressed to find people that like it on this Discord server, or this channel in general, but they exist. You'll find them. There are some lurking about. We need different types of lumber per climate, so we need a Mediterranean wood. Well, you see, this is a good sturdy oak. You don't want that. You don't want to use that in your guns. It's not flexible enough at all. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Hot Pocket Pie Lord is one of those others. He is the other. He likes Vic. Even a little. That's a day one wood mod. But alright, moving along to tin. Yes, tin, default price 2. So tin is easier to move than copper. Is tin lighter than copper? What is this? Because default price is 2. They're not specifying otherwise, so that means it has the default transportation cost, which is 1. So tin's easier to move for some reason. Wait. Tin is later has been widely used to coat other metals and alloys such as iron, lead, or steel to prevent corrosion. I didn't know that. I also didn't know it was used in pewter. Oh, okay. I take it back. Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty. Tin will actually be useful for quite a few things.
Pewter is often used to, that whole story I talked about, the false silverware
Mm-hmm.
that Cornwall produced. Well, that's because pewter, when it's made, is very silver-like.
Yeah.
So they use the tin to make pewter, which they then passed off as silver.
And I just never thought about it. I just never thought about it like that. I never thought about it as like, oh yeah, that's what pewter is. So that's actually something people use. But at the same time, now I think about it more, I doubt that that's going to be represented as a need, where it's like, you need tin because of pewter. So, maybe not as useful.
Also, FYI, I don't know how long this will be, but probably sometime in the next half hour I'll be summoned for dinner, so I will probably have to dip then. But
Alright.
it's not now.
Understood. Good, sir. Yes. Hope you need tin to debase currencies. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, to cut the silver.
That's brilliant. Let's just mix in some tin real quick into this silver coins.
If I can't artificially ramp up my inflation like a Roman emperor, chopping bits off my coins and lowering the purity, then this game will have been a failure.
Indeed.
To be fair, the inflation of this time period was much more from Spain mining a little bit too much gold and silver.
Yeah, it wasn't so much reducing the purity of the old stuff so much as drastically increasing the supply of the precious metal in question.
At the start of the game, there is insufficient gold. By the end, there is way too much. I hope you, yeah.
Musa is alive.
Oh, that's
His
true.
glorious times where he crashed the Egyptian economy by giving out too much free gold.
Gosh, I want to play Molly so bad.
First game?
First game. I'm gonna
Alright,
come meet you. I'll come
we'll
meet
play
you
the
in South
gold
America.
countries.
Yeah.
We'll play the gold countries.
Lead, which also is only a transfer cost of 1, unless they just forgot to keep mentioning the transfer cost. Something's in my eye. I think it's
I
an
think that
eyelash.
just means 1 if it doesn't show.
Presumably, yeah. It's just that there's a lot of stuff that's just 1 in a row after them being a lot of things that were more. I don't know. So I don't understand why lead's easier to transport than iron, but it's not my horse, not my race. Lead has been obtained in ancient times, byproduct of silver extraction. Wide range. Yes, the Romans using pipes and stuff, yeah. But what? Yeah, the Industrial Revolution in the modern age became the main material for making bullets for firearms, but that is going to take a bit. People will still be using iron for their guns for a long time yet. I mean, guns are only like barely now being developed anywhere at all, and they're absolutely horrendous. So yeah. Silk, which has a pretty chunk. Oh, there's a silk and dye have a pretty chunky price. Yes, the finest of fabrics. Silk, yeah, the profits from silk and finely woven cloth would in fact soon dwarf those of the spice trade for the European East India companies. Due to the increasing demand, attempts were also made to produce the material locally in the mercantilist Europe, with varying degrees of success. Dyes have the default price of 4, and they're actually really easy to transport, which is fair. I just put them in a bottle, yeah, and they're not very heavy. As long as textiles have been woven, yep, yeah. The world opened up dyes became much easier to get a hold of. Through the possibilities to produce them in America and the greater accessibility of the Indian market. Nonetheless, dyes remained rare, and in the early 19th century, as the dye plantations in India fell into European hands, a veritable gold rush ensued. So at the start, they're going to be hard to get a hold of because there's not many around Europe, so they're going to have to be transported into Europe from a long ways away, which is going to be unlikely that many will reach it there before they get used up. How does one even quantify ease of transportation?
Probably weight and space that a product takes up in transport. Like, it's much easier. You will have a lot more dye with a pound of dye than you would with a pound of iron.
So, stone, for example. Like the amount of stone you need for like a unit of usable stone is insane compared to the amount you would need of like sand for it to be useful for making glass. Like picture like the quantity you need in difference. It's another big thing for sure. Though sand in large quantities would be just as heavy as stone.
Transport cost of 5. Rocks are heavy, man.
It's bad. It's
Why would you even ship rocks? Let's be honest.
you just pick them up. Yeah, I highly doubt there's going to be much rock trade going on. You'll find more sand trade than rock trade. I genuinely believe, which won't be much. You won't have much sand trade. It'd mostly just be the glass you make from it. But and then you get stuff like coal. But this is the thing that's a little more confusing to me is um why
Also,
copper, iron, and coal cost 2, but you get down to tin, lead. These are just
maybe
1.
they're. Well, tin is usually. It actually depends on how they show off bronze.
I
But
don't know if
tin, I believe, is a lighter metal than copper and iron.
I don't know. But yeah, silken dyes, incense. Oh, tea as well. Yes, incense. Common ceremonial practices. Yes, sandalwood, myrrh, frankincense, other goods. It's not really explaining what they're used for, though. I imagine incense is more of just a need and less of a something you use in a production method. Same with tea. Never considered as noble a drink as coffee, it still produced a large profit merely from the fact that the world supply was low. That's interesting. Coffee was a more noble drink back in the day.
Yeah, nobody likes the British.
And cocoa is very valuable for that is on the same par as dyes. Cocoa was used as a stimulant by the Aztecs, Incans, and Indian rulers since the early medieval times. It was popularized in Europe by the early 16th century when the Spaniards imported it from American colonies. Cocoa became a luxury enjoyed by the rich. And it is curious to me, wondering how needs will evolve over time. Will people. I really hope that it's more dynamic than simply you enter a new age and it's like the whole planet collectively decides we want cocoa for our noble cocoa coffee and stuff for our noble castes. I that would be weird. I really hope it's more of a case of do people know about this stuff? It's like when Spain finds cocoa, then it's like, oh, okay, well, now I totally understand it. If the nobles of Spain are like, oh, we want this stuff. And then once it spreads across Europe from it coming to Europe from Spain's trade, then the rest of Europe is like, oh, well, now we want this stuff too. That would be nice. I hope that needs are developed by the exposure to new goods. Exactly. That is what I want. I do not want my North American plains natives once that and like I do not want Cahokia being like, well, we've got some nobles because we're a settled country.
They want
But
tea.
these nobles really want tea, man. Meanwhile, it's like they live in a field. They live in a fucking field next to a river, and it's like luxury to them is like necklaces. Is literally just fancy necklaces made from beads. Which respect. Love me some necklaces. Around here, they got lots of belts. So they've got lots of woven belts, which is cool. Civ, we demand Wales moments. Oh goodness. Civilization 5. All my homies love Civ 5. You start your turn, it's like noise on the side of and you look to the side of your screen, it's like, oh, this city demands Wales.
We love the King Day because he has finally succeeded in procuring whales for us.
He has sent this great merchant on a great quest to go and steal this city-state's supply of whales. Yay! I was like, we're a republic, guys. We don't have a king. We love the King Day. Civ games are funny. Eventually, if I decide I care enough and actually am interested, I might start trying to do some streams where I talk about Civ 7 news. But Civ 7 looks rough. Coffee. Coffee was discovered in the northeastern region of Ethiopia, and coffee cultivation first took place in southern Arabia. It really is that whole is the Red Sea. That strait. I forget what the corner is called. This the tip. I forget what that tip between Arabia and the Horn of Africa is called. But from the Middle East, coffee spread to Italy in the 17th century and was then introduced to the rest of Europe. This is okay, because we're not in the 16th century. We're not in the 1600s, rather. We're not even in the 16th century either. Yeah, it's like we're a long ways out from Europeans knowing about coffee, even realistically. I mean, there's some Europeans I'm sure that know it exists, but it's not like a widely understood concept that this stuff exists. So I certainly hope that there isn't a case of at GameStar Europe is like, we really want this coffee. But it would be really funny if you could somehow, if you played as someone who has access to coffee, mass produced it, and then unnaturally early cause demands for stuff like that to happen. Wouldn't that be awesome if as you're saying, Eric, that stuff would needs develop from exposure to goods that you could artificially cause people to become exposed to stuff like chocolate. Fiber crops. Fiber crops are different. That's right. They're not just food. Many different and they actually have a default price of 2. They're not super cheap, which is notable. Fibrous crops are used all around the world to craft a multitude of byproducts such as sails, ropes, fishing nets, and clothes. Beyond their use to produce coarse textiles, however, many are also used as a core part of the production of finer textiles, used in ceremonies, households, and elsewhere. Some examples are hemp, flax, jute, and sizzle. I don't know what the last 2 are. Interesting. And finally, we get to ivory, the famous narwhal byproduct. I hope they don't mention that in here. Ivory was one of the main exports of Africa, apart from slaves. It was a highly sought-after resource by the Europeans for use in various manufactured goods such as cutlery, gifts, small pieces of art, furniture, etc. They are talking about elephants this time. They can't make up their mind whether it's most produced by walrus, narwhals, or elephants.
Well, get it mostly from elephants, but the European supply came from walrus.
Ropes, bombs, lamp oil. You want it? It's yours, my friend.
So long as you have enough rubies.
Good. You said rubies. That's the important thing. Don't accidentally say rupees. I actually, like 4 days ago, because I've been playing all like the old Zelda games, I watched every single CDI cutscene in a row. Just because. Fur. Furs are one of the basic elements, high quality and warm clothing. Skins from all kinds of animals were supplied initially from Russia, but more and more from North America, where the beavers would be a prized choice, at least until the middle 18th century. Lumber. Cheapo. Supremely cheapo. However, we're finally back to a resource that has a base production. You have a minuscule base production of lumber based on production or development. So you would need but that's barely any wood made by development. That's ludicrously small. The amount of wood you get per singular unit of development. I don't even know. I don't want to whip out a calculator to figure out how many development points you need in a market before it produces even 1 unit of wood. YouTube video about Morshu's voice reading the Bible. No. Oh no. Oh yes, although less durable than stone, it is more easily accessible. Have made it yes, it's made it a staple of any building in all places of the world. Even structures designed to be resistant, like castles and fortifications, also have their versions made out of wood rather than stone. Also, castles need wood in the production too. You can't just make a castle out of stone. And yes. Salt. It's essential for human life. Yes, yes, we need it for preserving food. Either a mineral brought from mines in Central Europe or natural from salt wetlands produced via evaporation along sunny coastlines. Medicaments. We finally are back to real, yeah, even more. You know, wood's a default price 1, but here's another one. Medicaments with a default price of 1 and a transport cost of 0.5. So it's also pretty easy to transport. That's handy. And you need this for medical stuff, yeah. That's funny that it says, yeah, some of these medicaments were, their use was based on actual properties than others, because in some cases it was simply a matter of the belief of their effectiveness. Gems, which have a price of 4, so nowhere near as valuable as silver and gold, interestingly. Since the earliest of times, rubies. Rubies, sapphires, diamonds, emeralds. Jade pearls! But pearls are different, what? Been used in jewelry and ceremonial attire. The fabled mines at Golconda. For centuries, the only source of diamonds in the world were the fabled mines of Golconda. While not all precious stones are as rare, they are all highly sought after commodities. But we do have pearls as well. Ooh, that's a really good picture for amber. Pearls have been appreciated for their beauty and used like gemstones as ornaments all over the world throughout all human history. Should medicaments even exist in Europe where these religious beliefs around rituals didn't exist? No, medicaments is... It specifies some were based on actual properties. Some were more based on the actual properties than others. Also, in Europe, there very much was a long period of time. I thought it took ages for people to really figure out what plants were useful for what. Man, like there was like we're talking about the Black Death is about to happen. Europeans are the guys who were shoving all sorts of random strong smelling plants into their masks so that they didn't get the bad air in and get them sick. So not in 1337, but it's still used by plague doctors being like, well, this will totally cure you of this, and if I stuff all of this in my nose, I won't smell the bad air. That's the sort of thing this is also referenced in. This is not mentioning anything about rituals, as the way you are describing it makes it sound like you're talking about some sort of ritualistic practice. This is but they're saying this is medical supplies. This is medical plants, and it's representing both really useful medical plants and stuff that people think works. Might as well try. But amber. So gems, pearls, and amber are all the same price, and I suppose though gems are easier to transport, so that's interesting. Amber and pearls might just be less good versions of gems, which is odd. Maybe there's specific there has to be specific demands for pearls and amber that are different, and that's why they'd be useful. Amber is a valuable good. Yeah, made from fossilized. Yeah, it's primarily used in jewelry and ornaments. Its main source has been the deposits on the Prussian coast, but that's not saying it's any special uses though. I don't know. Well, Happy New Year to you as well, Frank. Yes, Franco. Oxford was teaching medical science in the 14th century. Um, well, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know enough about that, Endrit. I'm unfortunately not the man to give an authority on that. Uh, I'll take your word for it. If Hispaniola doesn't have a modifier for the largest amber mine of the Caribbean in the north part of the island, you're gonna be mad. I don't
So
remember.
if we can't use the amber to bring dinosaurs back to life, boycott the game.
Oh, is that the reference? Is he making a reference to Jurassic Park? I don't even know where Jurassic Park is.
Well, no, but the icon is I believe a reference to Jurassic Park. So
Oh.
the way it works in Jurassic Park is in the amber there's mosquitoes and stuff who have dinosaur blood that they'd suck,
Yeah.
and that's where they get the DNA to make the dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah.
But in real life, I think as Frank mentioned, Hispaniola has like one of the biggest amber deposits in the Caribbean, if not the Western Hemisphere. I cannot remember.
Amber is just a really okay. Well, now you've got me curious. I need to look at the mega thread and go see. Um, Tinto maps mega thread. South America, no. There's the mega thread. I need to see what. So where's the Central America one? Central America. That didn't show the Caribbean. Have we even seen the Caribbean? We saw it, right?
Yeah, we had the Caribbean. I can't remember which one specifically it was in, but we did see it. I want to say it was in with Central America because I remember seeing like
Oh yeah.
Taino Taino people in Cuba and Hispaniola.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. Well, let me take a gander down terrain, development, natural harbors, culture, language, religions, raw goods. Boom. Let's see if there's any amber. We have a zoomed in one. No, no zoomed in one of There's no amber. I don't see no amber. I don't see any amber anywhere.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. In EU4. The casual paradox moment. None. Hey, you've got dyes though, and
They're gold.
you got actually
Two gold provinces on the
Dominican side.
side.
It's okay, Franco. The Dominican side has 2 units of gold, and you've got coffee. Realistically, you have more gold than that. Okay, chill.
To be fair, 2 in that type of province density is pretty hefty.
That's a
especially
lot,
when
yeah.
you look at how much Mexico doesn't have.
Yeah, look, like if you can even make out how
And
much
Mexico only has what 6 or 7? I thought we spotted.
Yeah.
in the entirety of if you go all the way up to the north, there's another one here. They've got silver, mind you. That makes up for a lot of it. They've got quite a bit of silver, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Yeah, 2 just on the one corner here. This is good land too. This is good land too. I'm pretty sure you could dev that up pretty well. Oh, what about the natural harbors on there? Nope, the Dominican side has.
Yep, no boat. You guys don't even know what a boat is.
What do you think about this, Franco? What's your opinion on the useless harbors? Come on, Franco, you've got to go down to the Paradox
go into the
forums
thread
and tell
complain.
them. Go into the thread and tell them what's what. All right, but we should get back to the topic at hand. Thanks for the little diversion. This was fun. It's fun, but we have resources to talk about. Hmm. Though I will we'll say though, Franco, we do know that raw goods will change. Raw goods change in time. We don't know why they change, but there's going to be certain things that will cause raw goods to change. A lot of the stuff in the Americas will change, and I would not be surprised at all if it's a case of the people that are there right now just didn't use it, but colonists started mining it more. I don't know. To be fair, if you saw the province that said tobacco, I did see that there's tobacco. Yeah. All right. Saltpeter. It's the invention. Wait. It's had varied uses, such as fertilizer or as salt for meat processing. However, it was the invention of gunpowder and firearms during the Middle Ages that really raised its importance, as it is one of the main components of it, together with charcoal and sulfur. Mixed in great quantities around the world, this metal will go on to acquire an infamous reputation. I don't know what alum's used for, though. It's actually worth 3 as well, so it's notable. Alum is an essential ingredient in dye making, specialized in the tanning process. Hmm. Originally mostly from the Chad region, it was traded. Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of it in Kanem. Kanem has most of the alum we've even seen. It's like half of the alum that I can think of. It's not actually half of it on the map, but still, it's got a ton. It was traded in the markets of the entire Islamic world, but in the late Middle Ages, other sources started to be exploited in Europe. So that's where, yeah, in time, more stuff will show up. You'll probably get opportunities to make things appear, or maybe stuff will just change. I don't know. We'll see how that works. Spices, which is 6. That's pretty darn chunky. I think that's the most valuable. Okay, well, default price of elephants is 10. Never mind. But spices is one of the most expensive things we've seen, other than the precious metals. More valuable than gems. Spices have been known in Europe since ancient times, mostly for their medicinal value and for their ability to improve the taste of food. Pepper, ginger, nutmeg, chili, cinnamon, etc. came partially from East Africa, but mostly from India and China and the Spice Islands. To be traded in Alexandria or other terminals of the great caravan roads. The European desire for cheaper and more direct supplies constituted the main motivating factor for the first eastbound sea voyages and discoveries of Portugal. Wine is only 2. It's not actually all that expensive, all things considered. Especially not when you compare it up to stuff like marble, spice, and elephants. But wine is just. Yeah, wine is a part of the everyday diet. Oh God, someone shoot me now. Uh, Wine is not considered, yeah, except maybe in the Muslim world. Wine is not considered a luxury product, but probably served as a welcome relief for hundreds to an otherwise dull diet. Elephants. The advent of gunpowder warfare in the modern age outpaced the usefulness of elephants in battle. I'll be curious to see how they are used in combat, though. There's probably production methods for something or other that causes elephants to be used for troops. Marble. Marble's been used in sculptures, and so this is probably very important for art, right? It's the best art baked by Renaissance and Baroque artists. Yes. Mercury. We got Quicksilver. This is obviously used for immortality potions. It's used to refine gold and silver ores of lesser qualities. Oh, I did not know that. Mercury used in medicine. Yeah, yeah. No. Cotton, sugar, and tobacco are all 3. So, cotton used for clothing in the it becomes a substitute for wool in the late 18th century, but we'll see if it's useful before that in this game. Sugar, well, obviously, people like it. I doubt it's used in production methods, but people will probably want it as a demand. Oh.
I could see a building turning sugar into rum.
Oh, you're right.
Form of alcohol distillery.
That's probably one of the ways that you can make alcohol. You're right. I bet it's like a very, I don't know. I don't know. Would it be an effective one though? Because sugar, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Mercury is very useful in medicine if you want to shorten your lifespan. Well, no, no, no. It's useful for immortality potions. You silly. Let's just go over to the go over ask the Han Pops. See how well it's worked. Tobacco. That's pretty self-explanatory. Food. We have arrived at food, and the first thing on the list is wool. I
Yeah.
remember seeing
It's
that
delicious.
he originally that there was a while ago that Johan made some post or other where he explained the how useful every type of food was, how much actual food value it had. And I remember rice was the best. And I also remember that I laughed so hard when I saw that wool is also food. Because every unit of wool you produce also makes 5 food with it, which is funny. It's quite valuable though. 2.5
What?
value. This is actually a valuable resource. Oh, because you need it for clothes a lot of the time. So
Yeah, it produces both clothing resources and mutton to eat.
quite useful. Sheep. Acquire more sheep.
The Welsh are on their way to your location.
Who in the British Isles wasn't mass producing sheep? It was like
Nobody
the
have a particular affinity.
yes. Wild game. The default price is 1, so not that valuable actually. But and only 2.5. I didn't remember it being this inefficient. And then we get to fish and wheat. Fish, which also cheap. Also wheat's cheap, but you get 5. So you're at wool, but still wool, just a much better thing to produce because you can actually make use of it in clothes and other resources. Very efficient in that case. Wheat, though, it would be useful to make because you actually get more food per unit produced. Fish probably just isn't all that useful. But it was more of a luxury, so I imagine that, yeah, it's probably a demand.
No, no, no. It said meat was a luxury. Fish was not.
Fish is not.
So when they say
Food.
meat, they mean like cows, chickens, goats, like
Mhm.
land meat, not seafood.
Yeah, fish
Hmm.
was the main source of any sort of animal-based food consumption for much of Europe.
Because that makes sense. I'm sure it will be very easy to get a lot of it now that I think about it more, because there's a lot of coast, and you can always build fishing villages, which will produce more the fish. So fishermen also provide the basic recruiting pool for the merchant and military navies of most nations. So yeah, the fish is less of something that's a really interesting way that it works then, because fish is less of something that you want to actively produce, and it's more of a byproduct because you'll create fishing villages more because you want to strengthen the maritime nature of your country. So you just naturally have more fish because you are focusing on building more uh, developing more coastal locations. So you build the fishing villages, and it'll just give you more boaty boys.
Unique Swedish cultural advance, Ludifus and Surströmming.
Uh, Terrible, awful food. You mean inefficient and disgusting food? Basically, just sushi without rice, so it's just less good. Wheat. Um, There's other cereals and vegetables and foodstuffs. Vegetable foodstuff would later be augmented by tomatoes, corn, and even potatoes from America, offering a wider choice in both food and agricultural production varieties. Yes, the most readily available resource for food, obviously. Soybeans are 6. Huh, that's not bad. A decent legume. We know legumes are a different thing, though, so there's both generic legumes and then also soybeans. Yeah, you get soy milk. Whoa. Gosh darn tofu. I do love me some soy sauce, though. I'm getting hungry. Oh, goodness.
Soy boy.
Need me some soy sauce. I need to just inject that into my veins. But maize, which curiously enough is exactly the same as wheat. Huh. I'm a little curious about that. Is there a reason you want corn? Because it just is the same as wheat. Gameplay wise, seemingly. Huh.
Maize starts in the new world, grain starts in the old.
I guess. Hmm. I just. Well, we'll see potatoes. I'm curious about that as well. Potatoes probably aren't even as useful as wheat. But rice. As I had mentioned earlier, I remember that rice was the most just efficient resource. You produce tons of rice and it is very food giving. Lots of food. This is a type of grain, staple food since its domestication more than 10,000 years ago. It was independently domesticated in Africa more than 3,000 years ago, and it has also been an important food source there ever since. It was brought to Europe through trade with Asia as far back as classical antiquity, though it did not manage to supersede other types of grain there. If only it did. Rip. Sturdy grains, so not as effective as wheat. I guess we're talking about winter crops as well. Love me some winter wheat. No, I don't. Sturdy grains are different types of cereal grasses. What? I guess grasses, yeah. They've been domesticated in many parts of the world in different points of time, ever since the Neolithic. Their greater resistance to poor quality soils and dry conditions have made them into a more important food source in semi-arid regions compared to other types of grain. And legumes are also 5. Love me peas. Taters. Taters are 8. They do produce
Just as
8
much
food.
as wheat.
It is yet another just as much as wheat. Livestock is also 8, but it costs a little more. Interesting. I'm a little surprised by some of these values of food. Huh. But livestock, does it? It's not. I assume that you also can use it for other things. I assume you use it for because you produce livestock and you use that in production methods as well as the food that it makes. Olives are trash, which they should be, obviously. Dates. Well, dates are good. I can't dunk on dates. I love those. Highly appreciated gastronomy, especially olive oil is used to cook and dress a wide range of Mediterranean cuisine, which I do not like. I do not like Mediterranean cuisine. Dates, yeah, semi-arid, but fertile terrains. And fruit. I'm sure that this fruit, dates, and olives are probably very similar. I guess that they're all listed like right after each other, so it's probably another case of things that are like they serve the same functions, but they're different resources just for the sake of variety, and they probably have demands. Yeah, fruits, source of nutrition for the elites. Tar. Right. Its appearance that of a thick black liquid. Wait. Originally propped up as a cash crop, tar is a valuable ingredient in the shipbuilding business. I have no idea how tar is made. I didn't know this is a crop. I didn't know you grow tar. Huh. Its appearance, that of a thick black liquid, is due to the aggressive distillation process that is required for its production. Tar is widely used as a seal for ship hulls and as a cheap way to waterproof sails. I Yeah, I didn't know anything about tar. I still basically don't. I wonder who sat down one day and just figured out how to make tar. Like, sheesh. How did that happen? Whoa. Porcelain is only worth 3? I, I'm a little surprised, but fair enough. I mean, yeah, I guess I wouldn't see it as being as valuable as gems or spices, but that's just a little surprising. It's only barely more valuable than horses. So, yet another thing is like, oh, people will want this eventually. Naval supplies. Uh, we're getting down to, yeah, produced goods. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that we'd moved into produced goods. Yeah, you make tar, you make porcelain, you make naval supplies, and you most definitely make firearms. Naval supplies.
I thought you dug
No.
firearms out of the ground.
Well, if you ask EU4, you do just kind of generate naval supplies, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Yawn. Stretch. Wars. The concept of the conception and arrival of guns changed the dynamic of battlefields. Wars waged across Asia and Europe will now be subject to cultivating, importing, and harnessing the potency of gunpowder. Guns have become a natural evolution of warfare and an essential part of protecting the sovereignty of domains across the earth. And then they also have cannons. They did not originally have these, but people were upset, and then they made cannons a separate thing, which was definitely a good idea. They are more expensive and also more difficult to transport than firearms. This is such a shock. Whoa. Although siege weapons have existed since antiquity, the discovery of gunpowder has given rise to some weapons with a potentially with a potentially destructive power that has never been seen before. The ability to throw bigger projectiles at greater speed and distances than ever before will make all but the sturdiest of fortifications quickly fall before them, without mentioning the effect these projectiles have when they're fired towards armies themselves. Weaponry, which this costs the same as firearms. Swords, pikes, bows, yeah. Melee weaponry. And armor, I suppose, as well. And they represent all times, all the different types. So we even have the way you can make weaponry out of gems for the Aztecs, which is pretty cool. Glass, it's easy to carry around. Fair enough. I mean, telescopes. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. You just use glass everywhere. Even things that, yeah, maritime navigation, the natural sciences, and then as simple as windows everywhere. Huh. Wait, what? Steel is a resource?
Yeah, you make steel. You don't mine steel, you make it.
But they said earlier that iron represented steel. Huh. Well,
Probably very crude steels.
I don't know where's the comment about steel. We had the conversation earlier. Like, I wonder if steel, should steel be a separate resource? And here we are. It is. It is actually a separate resource. Huh. I wonder if I knew this and just forgot. That's good to know. And its price is 5. It's actually pretty valuable, which is fair. You have to make it from some other resource. So, and then it's used to make even more things. Yeah. Steel is widely used for crafting weaponry and guns. Various of its qualities are used for different weapons. Blunt steel for axes and high-quality steel for swords and knives. As such, steel is also employed as the main metal for the forging of equipment and tools. Cloth, and you make that from all sorts of things. Wool, linen, later on cotton as well. Fine cloth, which is a separate thing. Is this the thing you make from silk, or is silk just its own thing? Yeah. It's fine cloth The marker of status for elite and wealthy. Textiles such as damasks. What? Damasks, Muslims, or brocade. What? Muslins. I don't know what any of these words mean. These are all marketed and replicated throughout the world as a very profitable business in the Middle and Modern Ages. So, silk is something that the elite demand, but you don't necessarily need silk to make the fine cloth, I guess. Yeah. So fine cloth is a demand for the elite that is not as restrictive as silk. That's fair. Liquor. That's definitely something people will be wanting. All over the place. Well, it's different from beer, actually. Oh, so is this the one that you need the sugar for? Gin, rum, whiskey, vodka, tequila, and... No, this is just different. So we've got wine, liquor, and beer. They're all different things. That's crazy. Huh. And of course, yeah, beer. Super simple, just beer. Today's subject. Slaves have been a common trading commodity since antiquity, but demand increased sharply in the late 16th century for some reason, shockingly. Well, I wonder what that was all about. Paper, it's only a value of 2. Books, though, which you make with paper. If I've played Minecraft, I suspect that you use the paper to make books. Maybe some livestock, too. Maybe make that leather. Maybe 3 units of paper and 1 unit of livestock. Books. They're usually made of leather, parchment, paper, and other plant fibers. Yes, printing will make them a lot more available. Jewelry. Okay, so this you could make with probably a ton of different things because you're using jewels, precious stones. You could probably make this with amber, pearls, and gems. And you also need, I'm sure, gold or silver. Leather. Oh, that's yeah. Because you need stuff like wild game or livestock to make leather, I think is how that works. Yes. Yeah, make things like furniture. Tools, which are separate. Yeah, you have tools as a separate resource as well. It's not just weapons. Nice. Though it's the same cost as weapons. Simple stone. I wonder how difficult it will be to make tools. I wonder what you can make them out of, because they're saying from the simple and primitive stone tools to the more advanced and precise implements. So I wonder what sort of production methods we're going to be dealing with here for making tools. Is there going to literally be one that just uses stone, for example? That would be funny. Masonry. We're almost done here with lacquerware at the last one. Masonry, used for all sorts of buildings. You need to turn stone into masonry before you can make stuff most of the time, I believe. Construction. But lacquerware, which is 5. Masonry is really cheap, interestingly. Lacquerware was developed in China and Japan as far back as the Neolithic period, more than 10,000 years ago, and consists in covering products made of wood or metal with a decorative layer of lacquer, a product extracted from resin and wax. This lacquer layer can, alliteration, lacquer layer, lovely lacquered layer, can be further decorated with paintings, carvings, or dustings of gold or silver, making them into a luxurious good. And stay tuned, as next week we'll delve into the effects of all vegetables. What? Oh God, I'm so dead. Vegetations, topography, and climate. Yes!
You are a fucking vegetable, man, honestly.
I'm such a vegetable. Oh my God. But we'll actually be learning what the heck all the different types of terrain do. I'm very much looking forward to that. I want to understand what the hell the difference between arid and dry arid is, or cold arid rather. One's dry, one's not. What does it mean though? What does it do? What all the different modifications be? And Uh, yeah, that's gonna be fun. I am so excited to see just how terrible Arctic climate is. And that will also be very handy because it'll give me a better window, and Dark, he's here, a better window into thinking about how making custom climates and terrains would be like. Uh, it sounds, I'm gauging based on the information we've got here that it won't be that hard to make custom resources like this, though. This should be pretty easy, all things considered. Base price, transportation cost, stick your artwork in, make it show up on the map, and then just add it to production methods. And then if you want to, I'm sure there's a way that you add it to you'll do something that changes what causes people to demand it, but we'll have to see more on that another time. I'm not going through all these comments unless some people really beg for it, because goddamn, that was a lot of catching up to do. But I'll take a brief glance while I wait for people to attempt their best to beg me to read through some of the dev posts, see if there's anything here. Yeah, people asking about cultural
South Atlantic
divergences.
Tinto Maps Extra number 4.
Oh, that's right. That is a thing. 15 minutes ago, someone asking for someone asking for cultural divergence. Well, we've seen that cultural divergence can be a thing because the Dutch are going to split up. Hard to say how much that's going to happen. Why grouped spice system is the best option? Oh, someone's saying that they think that it is the best option. I think that's quite the interesting take, because of I'm very curious about that, because we know there's so many things, like there's fruits, dates, and olives. All three of those are different things, but they're going to function exactly the same in the game, I'm almost certain. So I'm curious what the logic behind grouped spices would be. But, you know, I can take a brief gander at take a brief gander down here. Well, what locations are we talking about? So, yeah, it's just West and East Falklands. Georgia Isle.
It's not anything.
There's nothing much to be seen here. The most interesting thing about this map, I'm gonna be honest, is genuinely the oceans, looking how the oceans are working here. There's this ocean crossing to Georgia Island, but I don't think that you can get to anywhere else from Georgia Island. It's a dead end in the ocean, I think.
But it's a worthwhile place to go to, right?
For colonizing south,
right?
So the Antarctic, you know.
Yeah.
Wild game for birds, I guess. That's all just fucking fish, man. All right.
Well, what else are they gonna make there?
Stone. But not too much of it, otherwise he'll take up the whole island. Well, with that then, I believe we can end this here catching up stream. I don't have too much else to add, but I lack the strength of will to go through all the dev responses. So, with that, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye.